Okay, let's set this scene. You're at a casual get-together, you're holding a lukewarm drink, standing near a group of people who are laughing at a joke you didn't quite hear. Suddenly, it happens. You become hyper-aware of your own hands. What am I doing with them? Are they hanging weirdly? Should I put one in my pocket? No, now I look like a suspicious magician. You try to take a sip of your drink, but now you're thinking about the mechanics of swallowing. You're convinced everyone in the room has stopped their conversation to internally critique the way that you're standing. Your brain isn't just shy. It has turned into a high-def security camera that is pointed directly at yourself. And the footage is being live-streamed to a jury that doesn't exist. We often tell people with social anxiety to just relax, or nobody's looking at you. But that's like telling someone in a storm to just not be wet. The truth is, social anxiety isn't a personality flaw or a lack of confidence. It's a highly sophisticated, albeit slightly glitchy, survival mechanism. Your brain has essentially mistaken a cocktail party for a battlefield. To understand why social anxiety feels so heavy, we have to look at the spotlight effect. Psychologically, we are the center of our own universe. Because we're constantly monitoring our own thoughts and actions, we assume everyone else is doing the same. Research from Cornell University has shown that we consistently overestimate how much people notice our flaws, from a bad hair day to a stumbled word, by about 50%. In a socially anxious brain, this spotlight isn't just a bulb, it's a stadium floodlight. You aren't just worried about being judged, you're experiencing hypervigilance. Your brain is scanning the room for threats, a micro-expression, a slight pause in conversation, a phone check, and interpreting them as evidence that you're failing. You aren't seeing the room, you're seeing a reflection of your own fears mirrored back at you. When we feel this intense pressure, we develop what psychologists call safety behaviors. These are the little things we do to hide in plain sight. Maybe you stay glued to your phone so you look busy. Maybe you rehearse your next sentence over and over in your head before saying it. Or maybe you offer to help in the kitchen just to avoid unstructured void of small talk. Here's the irony. Safety behaviors actually increase anxiety. Because you're so focused on performing the role of a normal person, you aren't actually present in the conversation. Your brain doesn't get the data that the situation is safe because you're too busy protecting yourself. It's like wearing a suit of armor to a pool party. The armor is what's making it hard to swim, not the water. For many, the hardest part of social anxiety isn't the event itself. It's the autopsy that happens afterward. You get home, you lie in bed, and your brain decides it's time for a greatest hits reel of every slightly awkward thing that you said. This is post-event rumination. While the typical brain might remember the 3 good conversations they had, the socially anxious brain focuses exclusively on the one time you said, "You too," when the waiter told you to enjoy your meal. Neuroscience shows that during this phase, the medial prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that thinks about the self, is working overtime. You are literally rewriting your memories to fit a narrative of failure. This creates a predictive loop. Your brain remembers the last event as a disaster, so it predicts the next one will be even worse. You aren't anxious about the future, you're being haunted by a distorted version of the past. Why would our brains do this to us? It feels like a glitch, but it's actually an ancient safety sensor. In our hunter-gatherer days, being liked by the tribe was a matter of life or death. If the group thought you were incompetent, weird, or aggressive, you risked being exiled. Social anxiety is essentially your amygdala trying to keep you in the tribe by making you hyper-aware of social norms. The problem is that our modern world is too large. Our ancestors lived in groups of about 150 people they knew their whole lives. Today, we walk into rooms full of strangers or post photos for thousands of people to see. Our shame sensor is calibrated for a small village, but we're using it in a global city. Your brain is reacting to a like count the same way that it would react to a tribal council meeting. We often hear people say that they have a low social battery, but for those with social anxiety, the battery isn't just small, it's being drained by background apps. Think of your social energy like a phone battery. Talking to people takes about 10% of the charge, but self-monitoring, constantly checking in if you look okay or sound smart, takes about 70%. People with social anxiety aren't necessarily introverts who hate people. They're often people who really care about connection, but are exhausted by the mental ROM required to police themselves. You aren't tired of people, you're tired of the security detail that your brain insists on running. The truth is that you can't just wish social anxiety away, but you can change your relationship with the camera crew in your head. Here's some examples. External focus, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule. When you feel the spotlight turning on you, force it outward. Find 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, etc. By focusing on the environment, you force your brain to stop the internal self-monitoring. Then, the so what method. When you're ruminating on an awkward moment, ask, if a friend did that, why would I care? The answer is almost, no, you wouldn't. You're the only person holding the magnifying glass. Then, finally, drop the safety behaviors. Try 1 micro risk. Go to an event and don't check your phone for 10 minutes. See what happens. Usually nothing bad happens, and that data is the only thing that can convince your amygdala to calm down. The most beautiful truth about social anxiety is this. The very things you're trying to hide, your stumbles, your nerves, your imperfections, are often the things that make people feel most connected to you. We don't fall in love with people because they're perfectly polished robots. We connect with them through the cracks. Your social anxiety is just a sign that you value human connection so much that your brain is terrified of losing it. That's not a weakness. It's a high capacity for empathy that just needs a little bit of recalibration. So the next time you feel that spotlight turn on, remember everyone else in the room is also holding their own spotlight, and they're just too busy pointing it at themselves to notice yours. So if this helped you breathe a little easier today, hit that like button. Even better, that subscribe button. And tell me in the comments what's one safety behavior you're going to try to let go of this week. I'll be right there with you. See you on the next one.